Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I am your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. The G1 is here, and that's what I'm going to be talking about mostly for the next few weeks, the next few times I record, the next few shows of Curtain Jerkin is all going to be about the G1. I love the G1. I keep up with it every year. But I hadn't watched every single match in a few years, and this year I'm hooked. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to worry about everything that happens on WWE or everything that happens on AEW. Don't get me wrong. Ric Flair's last match we're going to talk about. Mutoh's last 5 matches we're going to talk about. The Ring of Honor pay-per-view we're going to talk about. A barbed wire death match on American TV we're definitely going to talk about. But the ins and outs, ranking every single match from worst to first from AEW, Dynamite, and Rampage is going to take a back seat because it's G1 season, baby. I'm going to be ranking every single G1 match, and we're going to be going over the top 10 and the most recent matches every single show on here. I'm going to be waking up early. I'm going to be watching it. There's only 4 G1 matches to keep up with every day, or pretty much every day. So it's going to seem like a little bit of wrestling, but consistently it's going to be a lot of wrestling. But I did watch AEW this past week, and I did rank every single match from worst to first. So I'm going to just go into a little bit of my thoughts while I'm ranking these matches. Number 10 out of 10, Deeb versus Anna Jay. Serena Deeb versus Anna Jay. This match was awful. I usually reserved the highest ranked match for the squash matches, but this was just so bad and clunky. I had to give it the worst rating possible. I couldn't put these matches that just went quickly over this match that I hope went quickly. The highlight, or the low light, I guess you would say, was Anna Jay accidentally just falling butt first on Serena Deeb's face. And Serena Deeb won. They promoted the Ring of Honor pay-per-view right afterwards. Number 9, Luchasaurus versus Griff Garrison. I mean, it was just a choke. I mean, that's all that really happened. How bad could it be? Number 8, Athena and Statlander versus these twins. These twins that we see all the time, or not all the time, but a few times in AEW. They showed us the gimmick, and they killed the gimmick the first time they were on AEW television with Thunder Rosa getting the victory. She still is the women's champion. That you kind of can forget about that watching the show. They don't use them as much, but I mean, why not use them? You have Britt Baker with her faction. You got Thunder Rosa team with Toni Storm. You got the Baddies. You kind of have a low key tag team division of a bunch of single stars coming together, but here's a legitimate women's tag team. I mean, who cares if they're like the QT Marshall of the division? Like, I want to see them a little more, I think. After Athena and Statlander get the win, they get attacked by Jade and the Baddies, and I think that's happened every single time we've seen Athena, except for maybe her debut in AEW. That's probably why they brought her in, was just to get attacked by Jade. Number 7, House of Black versus Silver and Reynolds. Dark Order losing a lot of matches, losing a lot of members, but Reynolds and Silver really underrated. House of Black wins. Sting and Darby attack them after the match. It's weird, like some of House of Black are going up against Miro, some of them are going up against Sting and Darby. And then it's kind of convoluted. I don't really see Miro, Sting, and Darby kind of teaming up like they, like Darby and Sting did with the Hardys. I don't really think that would flow as well, but it looks like it might happen. I don't know. I'm going to take a little break and watch some G1. We'll see what happens in August. Number 6, Lucha Bros versus Private Party. These two teams are AEW originals. Always kill it, and they're sitting here in number 6 out of 10. Number 5 out of 10, Mox versus Takeshita. Takeshita is like the 2022 indie darling of America, but from DDT, from Japan. He's got some size to him. I can see this guy being a super big star. He already is a big star in the company he comes from, his home promotion. Maybe when his contract runs out, he'll come over to America. I can see the WWE side of him. He's tall. He's got some size. He knows how to wrestle multiple styles. what's not to love here? Number 4 out of 10, Orange Cassidy versus Wardlow. Solid match and funny spot here with Chuck Taylor pulling out a chainsaw. Ref, of course, catching him and sending him to the back with the chainsaw. Pulled the chainsaw out under the ring. I've seen so many weapons pulled out from under the ring. A chainsaw is the most ridiculous, is the most comical, and it happened early enough in the match that they were, the two opponents were able to, kind of have you forget about that hilarious moment and, put together a good match right afterwards. And it was kind of, even though it's ridiculous, it kind of fit with wrestling still. I feel like a lot of like comedy that happens, in the indies nowadays and in AEW don't really mesh too well with the idea that you're trying to like win a match. But this one did. I mean, of course, attacking a guy with a chainsaw, you would win the match. You'd probably go to jail too. Number 3, Gresham versus Moriarty. Really good match. ROH title on the line. Ref distracted. Gresham low blow chops Moriarty. A real dick move, if you know what I mean. JR impressed by the match. I was impressed by the match. Gresham wins with the octopus, and he's facing Claudio on July 23rd. Hager versus Claudio. Speaking of Claudio, this was a well-paced, dare I say, WWE-style match from the two big men. Refreshing as fuck to see on AEW television. And number 1, Bucks versus Team Taz versus Swerve in our glory. Swerve in their glory. Whatever you're swerving and whoever's glories. Staple AEW tag match. Staple Young Bucks match. Always good. Always fun to watch. Bucks dropping the titles to Swerve in our glory. I would rather have them dropped it to Team Taz. I think that they're just a better team, but it's still cool to see some fresh faces on top of the tag division. So, no real complaints here. So that was AEW from last week. Going into the news of this week, we got to talk about Michael Elgin and how he's probably not going to be on Noah. A notorious asshole. Got caught up in the Me Too movement. No real allegations from him personally. He was just kind of blamed for not handling a situation when someone came out to him about some certain stuff. And then some text messages leaked about how he felt about Jeff Cobb, of all people, when he was teaming with him in the World Tag League. That was some awkward moments, some awkward entrances and exits from those two guys during that tour. So he went to Impact, and something happened where he got kicked out of Impact. So he was depressed, and you would hear every now and then about how he maybe ran away from home. People couldn't find him, and then he finally found himself in Noah after a few years. So I mean, I was a fresh Noah fan. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because I always liked him in the ring. But now he's gotten sent home, or he says that he was going home because of a death in the family, but it happened around the same time he was caught shoplifting protein powder in Japan like a dumbass. I mean, you're making money in Noah, just buy the damn protein powder. And isn't it kind of, that's like, I don't know if you've seen protein powder, but they usually come in these large tubs that would be hard to shoplift anyways. I mean, this was this guy's last chance in many ways, and I was one of the last people to even give him a benefit of the doubt. A lot of people, already wrote him out years ago. So good riddance, Michael Elgin. I finally say it. I don't know who will sign you. Maybe, I guess your last home, your last chance is maybe a Japanese indie or an MLW or something. They have a number of interesting foreigners on the roster now. So I do think Michael Elgin will get forgotten about pretty damn quick. I mean, RVD in the forefront of that. You even got Alex Gray, Timothy Thatcher from NXT, Kurt Stallion from NXT jumping over to Noah. So I can see him kind of getting forgotten about in a few months, especially with this big story getting a lot of press of the great Mutoh's retirement. He's kind of in 5 final matches, and his first of those 5 was against Kiyomiya, a pillar in the modern pro wrestling Noah, if you ask me. I put him and Keno and Nakajima, and then I would say Kiyomiya. That's who I would say the top 3. The 4th pillar, I don't know. It probably is Mutoh, because he's what drew me in. and he had that world title run last year. So I mean, I'm putting together pillars and Noah, and I'm really supposed to be talking about this Muta match. Kitamiya gets out, will not let Muta hit him with his patented dragon screw. Muta eventually does, though, applies the figure four. Kitamiya breaks free of that, dives from the ramp into the ring. That was pretty cool. Goes after Muta's legs, tries to hit the ropes, but there was so much damage done to his legs after the figure four and the dragon screw, he couldn't even hit the ropes. He was able to lock and hit a German to Muta. 1-2, Muta kicks out. Muta struggles to get to the top rope. That was kind of sad to see. I mean, there are moments in Muta's matches where you can still see how great he is, and there are moments that you can kind of tell that he used to maybe be a little better. Multiple Shining Wizards, but not able to keep Kitamiya down. Kitamiya locks in the figure four. Let's Go hits a dragon screw himself back to the figure four, and Muta taps out. I don't know if he's going to be taking the L on all 5 of these matches, but he definitely took the L on his last match, or whatever you would call it, his swan song. I mean, Kobe Bryant did this in the NBA. He said it was his last hoorah. I said it was his last season. This is Muta's last season, and he's taking an L. Great match. Go out of your way to watch it. But speaking of legends, on their last match, there's another legend on their last match. Of course, I'm talking about Ric Flair. He's having his final match at StarCast on SummerSlam weekend, a stat card with some New Japan Strong guys, some AAA, MLW, Impact, all represented on the card. Ricky Morton teaming with his son to go up against Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson. The Briscoes are on the opener against the Von Erichs. It's just, if you're a classic wrestling fan, if you're an indie wrestling fan, if you're an international wrestling fan, this card is awesome. I mean, I'm more excited about this card than I am SummerSlam. The sad thing is I'm not going to be able to watch all of this card because of G1 stuff and SummerSlam stuff, but I am going to watch the last match. But anyways, if you guys are somehow living under a rock, Ric Flair teaming with Andrade versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett with Karen Jarrett in their corner. This match is really interesting. Of course, there is the living legend Ric Flair, who has almost died before, probably shouldn't be wrestling, teaming with his son-in-law, but going up against Jay Lethal, who is signed to AEW, who is then teaming with someone who works for the WWE and Jeff Jarrett as a producer. So I think that opens the door for more WWE talent to appear. And of course, we know Charlotte is a member of the WWE roster, of course. Karen Jarrett in the heels corner. I can see her, taking part in some shenanigans. Charlotte seeing enough. Charlotte comes out for a huge pops, takes out Karen Jarrett. That leads to a fair fight where Andrade, Ric Flair, and Charlotte all celebrate in the ring together. I mean, am I crazy, or does that just write itself there? And WWE and Ric Flair are back on working relationship terms. That's come out. And now you see Jeff Jarrett, someone who is working with WWE, like I said before, in the match. So, I mean, I think it's right there. But now it's time for the main event of the Curtain Jerkin G1 Talk. I have ranked every tournament match from the first 2 nights, all 8 matches, and I'm going to rank every single match. Like, all, 6. I can't even do the math. It's going to be a shit ton of matches. I'm going to rank them all. But I'm really only going to be talking about the top 10 matches. So, of course, there's only been 8 matches so far. So I'm going to talk about the top 8. And here we go. Number 8, the worst match from the first 2 matches of the first 2 nights of the G1. Sonata versus Jay White. Night 1. White acting arrogant as always. Skull in. Gato pops up on the apron. Low blow from Jay White. Then he knocks Sonata down, whose foot inadvertently low blows White on his way down. This was interesting. I've never seen this before. Not sure if I want to see it again. Not sure if the crowd really liked it. The crowd is, of course, quiet in Japan because of COVID protocols. They can only clap. But I don't know. It just seemed like it didn't land with me, and it was hard to see if it landed with anyone else. I know it kind of landed with Jay White. Hidden Blade, 1, 2, 3. This match was okay. It was a slow pace, and it didn't really pick up. And it was nothing really exciting or shocking in this match. So that's why it's ranked 8. But it wasn't a bad match by any means. Number 7, though, Yano versus Jonah, night 2. Of course, Jonah's first G1 match ever. So that was kind of newsworthy. And it was more memorable than the 8th place match. So that's why I kind of jumped the 8th place match. But, you know, compared to these other matches, it really wasn't that good. Yano, of course, the comic relief of the G1. He's been in there for years. More clever than strange. So I think Yano, when he does his, like, comedic stuff, it's better than, like I mentioned before, like something like Danhausen, or I know there's like an Amish guy in the Indies now. That stuff is just so weird that it's kind of left the realm of wrestling and left the realm of someone who wants to win a match. Where Yano is silly, gets the crowd laughing, kind of pops me a bunch, but it's always because he wants to win the match in an underhanded way. He low blows Jonah on the outside. Jonah can't beat the 20 count, and he gets worked here. It was, a fun little match. Yano gets 2 points. Okada and Cobb, night 1. This was the main event of night 1, but I really do feel like night 2 was a lot better than night 1. Okada stole a victory from Cobb last G1. Cobb's only loss last year in the G1. And in the press conference, Cobb made reference to that. So I thought it was going to be a little upset here. Cobb hitting a tombstone, Okada landing an elbow, Rainmaker post. Okada can't connect with the Rainmaker at first, but eventually does. 1, 2, 3. The status quo is still there in New Japan. Okada gets the victory. Number 5 out of 10, Tanahashi and Hanare, night 1. This was the match that kicked off the whole tournament. Hanare's first G1, aces high fly flow. Hanare gets his knees up. Hanare locks in the hurt lock. Must be watching some Bobby Lashley. Ace slips out, only for Hanare to hit the Streets of Rage in a fisherman suplex. 1, 2, 3. Hanare gets the victory. So that's why this match is above Okada versus Cobb, because it was the G1 veteran against, a bit of a newcomer, but the newcomer getting the victory. I was shocked. Hanare beats Tanahashi in his first ever G1 match ever. This was an okay match, but a beautiful upset, and that's what put it right there in the middle of this ranking system so far. Number 4, Will Ospreay versus LP, night 1. LP's first G1 as well. First heavyweight singles match in New Japan, I think. And this was kind of cool because Will Ospreay went from the juniors into the heavyweights. He brought in LP over to New Japan. LP went from the juniors to the heavyweights, and here they are wrestling each other. The story's right there. Powerbomb 1-2, another one 1-2. LP kicks out again. I really liked LP going up top, Ospreay rolling out the way. LP still going for it, seemingly going to reach him, but then Ospreay rolls even further out of the way. Hidden Blade, 1, 2, 3. Will Ospreay gets the victory. And then number 3 out of the top 8 matches in the first 2 nights of the G1. That's right, all that shit. I'm talking about important shit here. Juice Robinson versus Shingo from night 2. This match featured an old-fashioned close-fisted slug battle. Terry Funk would have been proud. Jerry Lawler would have been proud. This was great. DDT from Shingo. Headbutt on the top rope going into the 15-minute mark. Of course, every match in the G1 is only 30 minutes, and there can be time limit draws. Pulp Fiction or Friction, 1, 2, 3. Juice Robinson beats the former champion Shingo. I can see Juice Robinson doing big things in this tournament, picking up a lot of wins, and giving Shingo his first loss in the tournament. But these last 2 matches were, I would say, better than all the other matches by head and shoulders. These last 2 matches were super good, reminding me of why I like the G1 so much. These 2 matches could still be in the top 10 at the end of the tournament. Taichi and Ishii night 2. This match kicked off night 2, and I mean kicked. These guys both working snug here. German Taichi powers out. Lariat from Ishii. Lariat from Taichi. Sliding lariat from Ishii. They're just battling back and forth. This is a very strong style match here through and through. But can't land the brainbuster. Elbow, Black Mephisto, 1, 2, 3. Taichi wins. I used to hate Taichi, but he had such good matches year after year in the G1 that I started to love Taichi. And here he is getting one of the best matches of the first 2 nights. But the best match of the first 2 nights, Zack Sabre Jr. and Kenta from night 2. Zack getting the better of Kenta in the early going. Kenta exposes the turnbuckle. Zack fires back at Kenta. Zack goes after the arm of Kenta. Both men down at the 10-minute mark. Zack bitch slapping Kenta right in the face at one point. Kenta just rocks Zack with a big knee. Answers the bitch slapping. Psycho knee, 1, 2. Kenta picks up Zack's head. He's still got something to prove. There's still a match going on. But then he gets caught in a submission, tries to slip out, can't, and ends up having to tap out to the submission specialist, Zack Sabre Jr., because he was acting too arrogant. Zack Sabre Jr. gets 2 points. God damn, you gotta love that match. It puts over both characters, and it puts over my favorite wrestler in New Japan, Zack Sabre Jr., or second favorite, I think Okada, and then Zack Sabre Jr., but matches like this kind of make him jump Okada in my ranking system of who I mark out for the most. This was beautiful. I would say Zack Sabre Jr., he's been in a few G1s now. He's a staple in New Japan now. He stayed over there during the pandemic. And here he is beating Kenta, because Kenta acting way too arrogant, way too cocky, like we all know he is, and then he gets caught. You don't really feel bad for Kenta. You got to cheer Zack in this situation, even though Zack can be an arrogant prick too. This was just the battle of the arrogant pricks, and we know who the biggest prick is of night 2, and it's Zack Sabre Jr. So right now we have A block. Okada has 2, Yano has 2. Of course, there's going to be more matches to come. B block, Jay White has 2, Taichi has 2. C block, Hanaro has 2, and Zack Sabre Jr. has 2. D block, Ospreay has 2. Juice Robinson has 2. More matches to come this week. More matches to come to review for you guys. God damn, do I love the G1. God damn, do I love pro wrestling. Fly high. I'm out.